Right, well, this is about cruise ships. Tend to be large luxury vessels, specifically for people to travel across seas, oceans, and rivers for leisure purposes. They've got restaurants, pools, entertainment, social, cultural experiences. They're basically floating resorts. One of the main advantages of them is you only have to unpack once. This is generally accepted to be the first purpose-built cruise ship in the early 20th century, built in Germany and launched in 1900 for Hamburg America line, the Hapag line. Most of her cruises were to the Caribbean. She also cruised to the Mediterranean and Black Sea. And in the summer of 1903, she made a series of cruises from Hamburg to Norway and the Baltic, so it got around. And it was specifically built with a fancy front like that to make it look like a sailing boat a bit as well. But it's rather good looking. All 120 cabins were first class staterooms, included a ballroom, social hall, gym, library and smoking room, and an art gallery. But however, in 1906, the master of the ship mistook one lighthouse for another, set the wrong course, and accidentally drove the ship onto a reef off Jamaica. He then took his own life, leaving his officers to manage the safe rescue of the ship's passengers and crew, and no other lives were lost, which seems a bit bizarre, doesn't it, really? And this is how passengers have increased worldwide. Anybody ideas why there was a sudden dip in 2020?
I can guess.
I think everybody can.
I think we all can.
Yes. They lost a bit of popularity during that year, I think. However, they recovered very quickly.
There was a build-up to all this because of norovirus, because that was a problem on the cruise ships, because people, the worst people with the norovirus were, I spoke to the ship's doctor at one point, and he said the behavior is atrocious because the one way to cure norovirus is to starve yourself and not eat. And a few passengers carried on with vomiting and diarrhea, but they went down in the middle of that, they went down to eat 7-course meals and forced the food back into themselves and carried on being sick.
And the financial growth, it now generates over £114 billion annually and supports over 1 million jobs in the UK and worldwide. It is a huge industry in the UK.
My brother worked in Swan Hunters shipbuilding up in the northeast, and when Maggie Thatcher shut down the coal and the everything else, but the shipyards were shut down as well. And I met a guy who was in a committee meeting on Tyneside, and he suggested at the time, well, why don't we convert to cruise ships? Because that's the next thing. But he was laughed out of the committee and told to go away. So his suggestion to join the cruise ships and bring new life to Newcastle on Tyne was blown away.
Well, Germany did manage to do that. Some of the latest ones have been made in Germany. So our shipbuilding industry missed out on it. And whilst we've still got cruise companies, we haven't got building companies. Anyway, the average age is 47, which was younger than I thought, actually. The longer cruises attract retirees, and the shorter cruises appeal to younger adults and families, who are increasingly going on these. There's the environmental impacts, which I'll come on to a bit more. The carbon footprint is huge. There's the over-tourism, which I'll just say a bit more about, where ports like Venice and Barcelona face congestion and environmental degradation. There are workplace issues, which I haven't really gone into, which is the crew members often work very long hours in confined conditions. And there are some concerns over working conditions, and TJ, you might be able to tell us a bit about that later. And the sustainability, whether it's because of its high emissions and ecological footprint. Do you know where this was?
Spain, Mallorca.
No, Barcelona, Las Ramblas. It was one where they were complaining about the overcrowding of the city, with all these the cruising ships stopping at Barcelona and pouring out thousands of people there. Same, especially I think, is in Venice. But here it got famous because some of the protesters ran down the Ramblas, spraying people with water pistols. I like this one. This is from Barcelona as well. Tourist, your luxury trip, my daily misery. And guess what the tourist is doing? Taking a photo of it. I think it's very appropriate. Here's one from Mallorca. Hey, Germans, saying that Mallorca is your 17th state is offensive. So you can see that there's beginning to be a bit of a backlash at the cruise ship increase in tourism, especially because people arrive on these large ships in their thousands over a short period of time. I think that's one of the big problems of it. So what are the environmental concerns? Well, the emissions of sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxides and particulate matter, discharge of sewage, climate change. They're trying to adapt to liquefied natural gas, but apparently that isn't that effective because that's equally bad as the ones that it's replacing. And here are the UK cruise passenger numbers. It's projected in 2027 to be over 2.5 million passengers. It's a lot of people, isn't it? More than I thought. And it's going to double its revenue to 1.7 billion by 2030.
It's my idea of hell.
I've enjoyed going through the old episodes of things like Inspector Morse and Endeavour and Vera, and they've all got adverts. As the advert breaks are always full of Viking river cruises. I think there's a general feeling that river cruises are a bit more upmarket. I mean, but they're not 20 stories high or anything, are they? And I imagine you'd have speakers talking about the wonders of the Danube as you were going along there as well. So, but I think the other ones who are a bit like that are ones to the Norwegian fjords. You're not going there for the weather, are you? Really, you're going there for the majesty of nature. Again, whether it's doing good or bad, I don't know. And then, of course, there are the ones to the Antarctic, where you too can be an explorer, helping to ruin the Antarctic as well. Look at the British flag on it. It's the P&O Arvia.
Makes me ashamed.
It's done by. It was built in 2022 for P&O cruises in Germany. It was built. But P&O is now a subsidiary of Carnival Corporation, which is a joint American-UK initiative. The second oldest brand in the Carnival group after P&O is the Cunard line. So when you hear of P&O and Cunard, they're no longer really those names. They're part of Carnival.
Oh, God.
God.
What's coming next?
Well, I'll show you what's coming next.
Might as well take a look at that. Awful.
It's part of the Royal Caribbean International. It's longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall. It's got 20 layers of decks above the waves. Can accommodate 7,600 passengers when it's full. And it could swallow 5 Titanics for breakfast. So there you go. That's what a real ship is nowadays. It's larger than 3 football pitches.
Good God.
And it's the largest water park at sea and boasts a 17-meter indoor waterfall. But that's 3 island. Can't you imagine spending a day down there, going down all those flumes? When you want a bit of relaxation, you can go into the centre where it looks like you're in the middle of a rather cool city.
Why?
You've got the wonderful weather, and you don't even have to look at the sea. So they're calling it Central Park because it's modelled after Central Park in New York, of course. You have a Royal Theatre, so maybe the Royal Exchange or XL can make a bid for putting on productions at the Icon of the Sea.
No, we wouldn't lower ourselves.
And here we get to TJ and Friends. Let's have another intro for him. Oh, and this is just something I did just as a joke, this one. Well, the other one was a joke too. This is in Video.io, and I put in the prompt. There's was a description of TJ, and this is what it came up with.
This is gonna blow your mind, or I will never look at dance floors the same way after this. Picture this. An older gent in a sharp blazer and crisp white trousers struts onto the dance floor of a cruise ship. The audience, mostly older women, eyes sparkling, looking for a bit of fun. But wait, it gets better.
Oh, that's my outfit for the cruise. How did you know?
Our dancer starts busting moves like he's a young Fred Astaire. The crowd is loving it. Ladies laughing, clapping, and cheering. It's pure magic, folks. This guy's got rhythm, and he's got charm. He's single-handedly turning this cruise into a dance sensation. So if you're ever on a cruise,
Oh dear.
blazer and white trousers, get ready to have your socks knocked off. Who knew cruise would be this much? That's it for now, folks. Stay tuned for more fabulous tales from the high seas.
So those are the basic qualifications, and about how you must be able to do those various things. So it isn't just the dancing. I think they keep you, from what I can make out, they keep you pretty visible. These are the uniform requirements. You must have had a very full suitcase.
It's two suitcases.
Look at that. Black dinner suit, white dinner jacket, silk handkerchief, bow ties, and these general duties: dance and socialise, attend Masonic gatherings and service club meetings.
Have to buy all those clothes yourself, TJ, or do they give you a dress allowance? Or
No, you have to buy them all.
What TJ also sent me was an article that was written for one of these magazines that discuss leisure cruises, where a woman went there to look at the dancing and did an interview with TJ, who comes over as really well out of it.
It's incredibly hard working. You're dancing at least 6 hours a day, so everybody's tired, but you're out there, and whether it's raining or not, I have learned not to dance with leather shoes, because it destroys your dance shoes if you're out on deck. And they got very keen on me because I bluffed with my acting ability to look as if I was having a good time. So I would get the ladies dancing, and then they on some of the more riotous ones, they wanted to throw me in the swimming pool in all my dance gear. So I discouraged them from that, but that showed how well I was doing the job.
He dressed smartly, but with a different jacket and tie colour to the others. He's about 6 feet tall and very slim, with greying hair and an affable manner. He was the first to approach our group with his hand outstretched, but we are reluctant to get up on the not yet full dance floor, and giggling like schoolgirls, we decline. We decide to spend the first night observing, with a glass of sparkling in hand, of course. We notice that the host never dances with the same woman twice in a row. They always escort the woman back to her chair. They're not discriminatory about who they dance with. Forget your old wallflower days. This doesn't happen on the QM2. They dance with the old and the young, though not younger than 18, the slim and the not so slim, the quiet little woman, the extrovert 45-year-old in the sparkling top with a map of the UK emblazoned on it, and the attractive women like ourselves.
It's a huge topic. By the time you've danced with, say, in one day, you'll have danced with 30 different people, and so it's incredibly tiring. I ended up chatting to a German psychiatrist lady, and I said, I'm absolutely worn out. And she said, well, if you're meeting physically 30 people in that contact, because you're dancing with them, it's not just like saying hello to somebody verbally, you're actually meeting them physically. So there's a lot more message going on each time you meet them. You're busy judging whether they can dance or not, so you're looking after that side of them. But they, in a very short time, they share pretty much their life history. They say whether their parents have gone, who they're with, whether they how many husbands they've had. There's a huge amount of information going in a very short time, and you're physically touching the person. So it's a huge drain
Yeah.
each time. So by the time you've danced and talked and encouraged or suggested that the lady go to line dancing because she's been jumping up and down on my feet, then it's a full-time job. I because I was so terrified when I first started the job, and I thought, gosh, I can't go around the ship because if I scowl at everybody, they're going to scowl back at me. So no matter how knackered I felt or how intimidated, because some of the women were quite terrifying. They would come at you. The ladies who'd had 3 husbands and were looking for the 4th, they would come at you with their arms up. And your dance host, you're leading the lady, but you're supposed to leading them. And if they come at you with their arms up as if they're going to dominate you, then it's quite a challenge. Yeah, you know.
Anyway, we're about to go now. Thanks a lot, TJ.